It's that time once again, folks. Disney has opened their metaphorical vault doors to their streaming catalogue, and once again they are deciding on what projects are worthy enough to receive a physical release on Blu-ray and 4K. And same as beforehand, we have 4 all brand new steelbooks to talk about, and these are once again referred to as Collector's Edition Blu-rays. 2 titles from Lucasfilm and 2 from Marvel Studios. So the Star Wars titles that we have the complete first season of Andor, and the complete series of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Interesting that that has been reworded, or I guess officially worded, as the complete series. Those who wanted a second run of episodes, I'm sorry to say it's looking all the more unlikely. Even I wanted to see at least something more from Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Who knows at this point, I'm sure Disney will find a way to keep milking that part of the franchise regardless. For the 2 Marvel Studios releases, we have the complete first season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I always found that title to be extremely clunky. And we also have the first season of Moon Knight, and it's interesting how these shows haven't necessarily been confirmed for a continuation, but have been worded as the complete first season, rather than just writing it off as the complete series. So with these shows, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I gave it a chance. I think I watched maybe 2 episodes out of the 6, and honestly, I just wasn't that interested. I'll maybe give it another shot before the 4th Captain America movie comes out. That's if they can stop changing the title for 1 minute and just have faith in what they're doing. And the other Marvel series being the first season of Moon Knight, I've heard quite mixed things about this series. I've heard that Oscar Isaac is very good in it, but to be honest, I have very little familiarity with the source material. Is the show actually worth checking out? If you've seen it, let me know in the comments if it is worth my time. It looks as though all of these steelbooks are going to be made available for pre-order on March 12th, 2024, and as for the release dates, it's looking as though they will all be dropping at the exact same time, being April 30th. And I felt personally that it made more sense to release these gradually like we had with the first wave, but no, it looks like they're all dropping at once. If this changes, I'll add a pinned comment with further details down below. Following up on some info from the previous video I did covering the first wave of Marvel and Star Wars steelbooks coming out from Disney+, a couple of things to note that I kind of frequently asked. These are made available only on 4K UHD and standard Blu-ray formats. Unfortunately, DVD releases will not be happening anytime soon, if ever at all. It's not known if these will be the only physical releases to exist for these chosen shows. Currently, they are the first and only physical releases. Whether or not that changes down the line is left open to speculation. Personally, I feel as though years later, when certain shows have concluded perhaps, we may receive either standard Blu-rays or complete series box sets. Again, that is all speculation. And price-wise, these are very expensive sets for what you're getting, in my opinion. Exclusive bonus features are appreciated, but unless you're a collector or just a huge fan of a certain show, I would definitely wait before purchasing. You're really not missing out on anything special. Looking at what personally stands out to me, let's begin with arguably the best release, which may be a somewhat biased opinion, and that is Andor coming out, the prequel series to Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Initially, when plans were announced several years ago that Andor was going to be a show, it genuinely didn't feel right. I didn't really care for the character all that much, and that's coming from a big fan of Rogue One, genuinely my favourite thing Disney has made with the Star Wars property. But here we are years later, and I am so glad to have been proven wrong. Andor is everything I have ever wanted from a Star Wars project, and Tony Gilroy and the writers and directors that have been involved have done a spectacular job. It's a nuanced series, beautifully crafted in both the writing and the cinematography. Yes, it is a slow burn, but every detail is necessary and makes the payoff worthwhile. When discussing or recommending Andor to close friends, I've always described it as the Better Call Saul of the Star Wars universe. It's worth watching, and I'm very excited for Season 2. In terms of the Blu-ray contents, this one is going to be a 3-disc set with it having 12 episodes rather than the usual 6 or 8, and it includes art cards once again. I've heavily criticised the Mandalorian Blu-ray sets for their lack of bonus features, but it does look as though Disney are trying a little bit harder with both Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Andor one specifically, I'm very interested in because of just how substantial everything seems to be in terms of coverage of every major story event from what we have listed. So we have featurettes based around Ferrix Part 1, Imperial Occupation, the Aldani Rebel Heist, Coruscant, Whispers of Rebellion, Narkina 5, One Way Out, and Ferrix Part 2, Fight the Empire. Overall, very excited to see more behind-the-scenes stuff about Andor. A few bits were uploaded to the Star Wars YouTube channel when the show was airing, but hopefully we'll get a lot more from this Blu-ray set. Next up we have the Kenobi Steelbook, and holy shit does the artwork look good. Attila Sarkar has been hired once again to produce the artwork across all the Steelbook sets, and I love this consistency, and I find it somewhat hilarious how the Steelbook art is arguably so much better than the show itself. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but I was left very underwhelmed by this series. I had so much fun with the first 3 episodes. They were overall very enjoyable, there was so much potential behind them. Episode 4, however, was just embarrassing, poorly written, some awful ideas making the Empire look completely incompetent. I know Stormtroopers are memed on for having poor blaster aim, etc., but I feel like the entire base of operations was being ran by the blind. I laughed so hard for all the wrong reasons, seeing young Leia being hidden by Obi-Wan Kenobi, casually walking through the fortress with Leia hiding under his coat. I just stopped caring after that. There was some interesting choreography, the duel at the very end between Vader and Kenobi was a fascinating moment, and the show was made with the right intentions, but clearly it wasn't left to cook for long enough. And if you're interested, I did do a video discussing a very well-edited fan project based around the Kenobi series. It was made by an editor called Kai Patterson, a very gifted and likable person, and I'll put a link to that video down below in the video description. With my mixed opinions on the Kenobi series in mind, I was very intrigued to see that director Deborah Chow has done a commentary across the series. That's something I am very intrigued to listen to, just to get maybe a little bit more of an idea as to why certain decisions were made, maybe see if she could argue in favour of certain ideas being put forward. Regardless, it looks as though it's going to be one of the better selling releases, and I look forward to seeing what this will look like in person. For both Marvel releases, we have very similar bonus content to what we got with both Loki and WandaVision, where we have gag reels, deleted scenes, exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff, etc. And we also have the bonus documentaries from Disney Plus about the making of each show. That's something that I definitely do appreciate, and that was something considerably lacking from the Mandalorian releases. I don't care all that much about either series. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier I may pick up if I see it discounted heavily enough. The only hook that got me with that show was the stuff about John Walker taking on the role of Captain America. I really liked the actor's charisma, and if memory serves from what I have read, he was going to be written to be a more tragic figure by the end of the show. Similar to Moon Knight, is that show worth checking out and finishing properly? You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. For Moon Knight, I don't really have a proper interest in that show. Unless I see it dirt cheap, which is very unlikely, I will probably not be picking that one up. Speculating on future releases, I'm certain a third wave of Steelbooks is already in development. Loki Season 2 is arguably the strongest of contenders. I would love to add that to my collection when the time comes. The animated What If shows will be a welcome addition to the collection, and I'm certain Season 3 of The Mandalorian will be one of the next releases, with probably another 5 minutes of exclusive bonus features. I need to let that go. One show that does appear to be missing, however, is the Book of Boba Fett. This would ideally be a contender to release with Mando Season 3, with that essentially being Mando 2.5. I've done a video showing my mixed feelings on the Boba series on the channel as well, if you are interested. But anyway, that's going to wrap up this video briefly discussing the next round of Disney Plus Blu-ray Steelbooks. I'm excited to see Andor get some attention so soon. I can't wait to add that to my Blu-ray collection. Let me know in the comments what other shows you would like to see released from Disney in the next wave of Steelbooks, and for more content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?